In this episode of the Butt Chronicles, we take a look at Beavis and Butt-Head, episode 45, Sperm Bank. Well, hey, what's up, ladies, gentlemen, and butt munches alike? Welcome to the Butt Chronicles, your audio guide to everything Beavis and Butt-Head. And I'm your host, DJ Glowing Ice. Beavis and Butt-Head, episode 45, Sperm Bank. It was first aired on MTV on October 7th, 1993. And now, let's see what happens with Beavis and Butt-Head in Sperm Bank. The episode starts inside Beavis and Butt-Head's house as they watch TV. On the TV is a commercial showing two women in bathing suits on a beach as a man's voice asks, "Do you want to go out with beautiful women?" "Yeah," nods Butt-Head. "Well, you'll never feel comfortable asking them out if your hemorrhoids are bothering you." "That's right. If you want to get women, you gotta do something about those darn hemorrhoids." Both of the boys have disgusted looks on their faces. Butt-Head then changes the channel. The channel changes to a man in a gray suit, working as a reporter, standing in front of a building that reads, "Helping Hand Sperm Bank." The reporter says, "To find out the answers to these questions, we tracked down Rod Johnson, the president of the Sperm Bank." The show cuts to a shot of a closed door. The reporter knocks on the door and says, "Mr. Johnson?" Mr. Johnson's voice from beyond the door says, I'll be right out." A full shot away from the door shows the reporter standing by it as the reporter says, "It's no use trying to dodge me, Mr. Johnson. I demand to know where your company's getting its sperm. Say, what's taking you so long? What are you doing in there?" The shot then shows the door again, only this time showing a close-up of the men's restroom sign. Mr. Johnson on the other side says, Nothing at all. Why do you ask? Look, I'll be out in a minute. Just give me another minute in here. I've got customers coming in."
"Cool. We could do that,"
says Beavis. "We're there, dude," replies Butt-Head. The next scene is the outside storefront of a building with a sign above it that reads, "Stork in a Bottle Sperm Bank." Inside, Beavis and Butt-Head stand in front of a desk as a woman in a white nurse's outfit is sitting in a chair, working as a secretary. "Yes?" the nurse asks the boys as she looks at their faces. Looking at the boys from the nurse's point of view, Butt-Head says, "We'd like to, we're here to, Butt-Head's face then turns red. You tell her, dude," Butt-Head says to Beavis. Beavis automatically turns red and just laughs. "Are you here to sell sperm?" The boys, still red in the face, both just laugh continuously. The nurse gets up and leads the boys down a hall and says, "Please follow me." As the boys, still standing in front of the desk, get over laughing, they realize they need to catch up with the nurse walking down the hall. Inside the hall, there's a door with a sign reading "Lab" attached to it. A cart of glass tubes full of sperm is left unattended next to this door. The boys running to catch up to the nurse bump into and pass the cart, making it fall over and spilling all the tubes of sperm onto the floor. Next scene, the boys are in a room that looks like a classroom, sitting at tables as the nurse stands in front of them with an intelligence test in each of her hands. She says to the boys, "We're only interested in those potential donors whose cognitive skills are the highest caliber." The boys look confused as they sit silently. "Well, gentlemen, go to work," says the nurse, as the sound of a zipper then goes down. The nurse, then looking angry, says, "On your tests." Cut to Beavis as his hand is under the table as he says, "Oh," and then zips his pants back up. We then cut to a montage of shots of the boys working on the test as the clock is ticking. As the boys are still trying to figure out writing their names in the box, the door to the room opens up to the doctor with his hands in the air, looking distressed. The doctor frantically says, "Nurse, the test tubes holding the entire stock of sperm have been destroyed. We need new specimens right away." Well, their test should be finished in a few hours, doctor, replies the nurse, referring to Beavis and Butt-Head. There's no time for that! I have clients with me right now! The doctor looks at the boys and points to them and says, I want your sperm! The scene fades out and back into a new scene of Butt-Head close up as he's making an up and down motion with his arm, as Beavis stands next to him. The shot zooms out as the nurse is looking at them, as Butt-Head is shaking a large metal canister with a domed lid. Butt-Head hands the canister to the nurse. There's more where that came from. The nurse turns to Beavis and asks, Where's your container?
I was supposed to use a container?
Cut to inside the doctor's office, as he sits at his desk and Mr. and Mrs. Stevenson, Stuart's parents, are sitting across from him. The doctor says, There's really nothing to be ashamed of, sir. Sometimes nature just needs a little helping hand. That's all. A close-up of Stuart's dad's face shows him looking fearful and ashamed, then turns angry as the doctor continues saying, As we gentlemen get older, certain number of our capabilities decline and, well, occasionally it makes sense to turn to members of the younger generation for, assistance. And what a great deal of assistance they can offer us. The nurse hands over the canister Butt-Head gave her to the doctor. Mrs. Stevenson, as she puts her hand on an angry Mr. Stevenson's hand, says, It's not that he's infertile. We have a son, Stuart. It's just that ever since Stuart was born, my husband has had a little bit of, trouble. Looking back at the doctor, he says, I see. Well, if you're concerned about quality, we have a rigorous intelligence test that all of our sperm donors must pass. And I can assure you that the individuals that contributed this sperm are among the smartest we've ever encountered here at Stork in a Bottle Sperm Bank. The doctor looks at the answer sheets from Beavis and Butt-Head. Beavis's answer sheet has bubbles filled in that form the image of a skull. Butt-Head's answer sheet spelled out the name of the band Megadeth. The sound of glass breaking, along with Butt-Head's laugh, comes from the other room and gets the doctor's attention. Maybe you need to do that with 2 hands. The doctor, and Stuart's parents, all run to the room where Beavis and Butt-Head are. Butt-Head is counting money, and Beavis is juggling various sizes and styles of glass jars. As the jars fall to the floor and break, the doctor says, You're going to pay for those! No problem, dude. You want cash, or should we just go spank the monkey again? What the hell? These are the boy geniuses you were talking about? Mr. Stevenson asked the doctor. The boys continue laughing. What's so funny, you little twerps? Mr. Stevenson asks angrily, as he then says, I'll spank your monkeys! As Mr. Stevenson runs towards the boys, he steps on a test tube, which makes him slip and fall onto the floor on his back. The boys laugh as the doctor then grabs them each by the back collars of their shirts and drags them down the hallway. Hey, Beavis.
What?
He's fallen and he can't get it up. The next scene, after getting kicked out of the sperm bank, the boys are walking past shops and storefronts on the sidewalk.
Bummer. We really had a good thing going. Plus we were getting paid for it.
At least we got some money. Hey, we could spend it.
On what?
I don't know. The boys then walk up to a magazine shop. We could buy magazines.
Why?
Dirty magazines.
Oh, cool.
Cut to the boys inside the magazine shop as they stand at the counter and look at the selection of magazines behind the man working the cash register. The man working the cash register is in his 30s or 40s, with brown hair, missing a few teeth, wearing glasses, and dressed in a white buttoned shirt with an apron. The variety of magazines in the store have names like Milkin' the Cow, Naval Madness, TNA, Shootin' Score, Spank, Hooters Illustrated, Smut, Fun Bags, and Knitting. Well, what'll it be? Says the man working the counter. The boys laugh, and the man says, All right then, I'll just point to a magazine and you boys nod if you want it. Fading out and then fading back in, the man at the counter is now holding a big wad of cash and smiling as the boys both walk out the store with a stack of magazines that reach the tops of their heads. The last shot, we are looking down a road with houses on each side as the sun is setting and the sky is orange and the clouds are pink. As sentimental music plays, the boys walk down this road, away from the camera and into the sunset as they call each other names. You dillweed.
You dillhole.
Monkey spank.
Turd wipe.
Waste of bum wipe.
You, butthole.
You butt, head. Butt wipe. And that's the end of Beavis and Butt-Head in Sperm Bank. Now let's check out the music videos. The first music video is Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel, and seeing sperm move under the microscope, Butt-Head says, "Check it out, it's one of those Brian shrimp."
"No, those are sea monkeys,"
replies Beavis. "Sea monkeys are cool. Can you spank a sea monkey?" Butt-Head attempts to move his face around like Peter Gabriel does in the video in weird movements. Butt-Head then asks if that's magic, and then they change it. Next is Mouth for War by Pantera, and the boys scream, "Yes!" in happiness. Butt-Head says that Pantera kicks everybody's ass, and tries to imitate the singer. After Butt-Head screams some more, Beavis says,
"Right on, man. Rock."
Butt-Head says that the singer looks mean, and Beavis asks,
"You think he gets all the chicks?"
"Probably not. I think he, scares chicks."
Yeah. The only thing cooler than bands that get lots of chicks are bands that scare chicks.
The next music video is Peekaboo by Susie and the Banshees, and the boys say, and Butt-Head asks what kind of music is this. Beavis says,
"This is music for people who, don't have any friends."
"If you, go buy this album and play it, all your friends will leave." Beavis then mentions that was the point he was trying to make. "Hey Beavis, have you ever played peekaboo with your wiener?"
"Yeah. Peekaboo!"
"How does this chick ever expect to sell records without cleavage?"
"Yeah, I like to buy albums with lots of cleavage on them."
The last music video is Suck My Kiss by Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Butt-Head says, "Parades suck." The boys jump off the couch and onto the floor, and they also talk about how cool the band is. That's the music videos. Now let's get into the fun facts. Sperm Bank is one of those episodes that was banned initially because of its highly sexual themes, but it got put back into reruns after 1997. There was also a thing that had to be edited out in this episode, as when you looked at Beavis and Butt-Head writing their names on the intelligence tests, the top of the intelligence test had the stork in a bottle logo. That was the edited version. But the original unedited version at the top of this intelligence test had a name that was tied very closely to a real legit business. So it said originally in the episode, RID-E Associates, Inc. And it actually included a real street address underneath the name. So obviously, to avoid any legal troubles, I had to get that off. This episode was officially released on the Work Sucks home video. Sperm Bank is the 14th episode of Season 3 of Beavis and Butt-Head, and it's the 45th episode overall. And IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, gives Beavis and Butt-Head Sperm Bank an 8 out of 10 rating. Now, I'll give you my review. I only seen this episode once as a kid, and the only thing I really remember watching it was when Beavis and Butt-Head run past the cart full of sperm and it all crashes onto the floor. That was the only thing I remember. And obviously, as a kid, you didn't really know what sperm was. You didn't, okay, that was white stuff that fell onto the floor, okay. Apparently that's something. I really didn't get it, even though all the Beavis unzipping his pants, which was one of the highlights of the episode, for me at least. I thought that was very funny, because Beavis is just so innocently stupid that he legit thought that. He wasn't even trying to be funny. That's just him as a genuine person. And that's why I think Beavis is he's my favorite one out of the two. I mean, then Butt-Head has his qualities too. I love them both, just in different ways. They're such great contrast from one to the other. You know, Butt-Head's obviously the leader and Beavis follows, but Beavis has his own thing going on over there. But yeah, it's an episode that is, I think, very crucial to the series in general, because this really touches on the character of Mr. Stevenson and kind of goes down the path of his insecurities, his problems, and how he does have quite an anger issue. But then other times he's very lovable and kind of stupid and gullible. He's like a character that seems to switch. Sometimes he's really smart and he's on to Beavis and Butt-Head shit, and then sometimes he's completely oblivious. And Mrs. Stevenson is always just kind of there, just chilling at all times, and she's just, you know, June Cleaver, basically. The classic 1950s housewife stereotype. Looking at this episode, standing back, looking at it as a complete snapshot from beginning to end, I do want to say this is a very complete and good episode. From top to bottom, music videos, what happens throughout this story. So, you know, the guys are wanting to get money. They go to donate sperm. And what do they do with the money eventually? They buy porno magazines. To do what exactly? Well, you know, donate more sperm, figuratively. It may not be in a test tube or for the bank, but they still do that. So it's like the world in this episode came full circle. It was very nice. A Pantera music video was in here. I love Pantera, so anytime they're on, it's good to know that the boys love them just as much as I do. And yeah, maybe it's just because Beavis and Butt-Head liked them, and I watched them as a kid like Pantera. Maybe that's why I'm a big Pantera fan. Did Beavis and Butt-Head turn me on to Pantera? Or did I just like them and I like the fact that Beavis... I'm going to have to sit down and really think about that now. I do want to say, if you do watch this episode, almost kind of pause at the magazine section and just look at the variety of magazines there are. I didn't include a lot of the titles because, either the character's blocking half of the name of the magazine or whatever, but it's definitely something to check out and get a laugh at. There's some hidden gems in there, and there is some gold in them there hills. And of course, at the beginning, when the boys are just watching TV and the hemorrhoid commercial and then them switching it on to another thing, that's always a good thing. I love seeing all the fake kind of commercials. That's always a fun time. So I'm going to have to give this episode an 8 out of 10, just like IMDb. I agree with them for once. And yeah, so there we go. Beavis and Butt-Head, Sperm Bank. I give it an 8 out of 10.